Welcome back to Why So Sidious a Nerd podcast. Like I said, we're here with Illuminerdy to talk comic books. We're talking upcoming releases. We're talking about what we've been reading lately. I've been reading some good shit. And we're going to talk about Daredevil Comics, the best of them. There's a ton of great series. He's second to Batman, I think, and who has the most consistently good comics. Anyway, we're here with Illuminerdy. Follow this dude. He is at Fellow Nerd on TikTok. He's at Illuminerdy on YouTube. Great content, huge omnibus collection, a lot of entertaining info. One of my favorites to follow. And thank you, sir, for coming on. We are at Why So Sidious Pod at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now. So if you're not on YouTube, check that out. We've been covering Daredevil, the Daredevil Born Again series. We've been covering comics. We did a Volume 1 Zdarsky's No Fear, spelled K-N-O-W. That's his Volume 1. This leads to Devil's Reign. This is what we think the Daredevil Born Again story is kind of leading to, give or take. But so we're going to keep doing that. We did Volume 1. We're going to continue on to Volume 2, up to Devil's Reign. Tonight we're recording Volume 3 of Charles Soule's Daredevil run because it's the introduction of Muse. And we'll also get maybe some thoughts on your Daredevil Born Again viewing lately too there. But that should wrap it up for the intro talk. Illuminerdy, how are you, sir?
I am good. I'm excited to get into these topics. I got some theories and some pretty solid reads as of late, so I'm really excited.
Hell yeah. So we talked before the show. You said that you think that they will release Garth Ennis's Punisher Omnibus Volume 2, which I'm really looking forward to. But it's not on the schedule or anything yet, is it?
Not currently, no. But they reprint everything these days, especially Marvel, but DC is picking it up this year. So obviously do as you wish, buy what you want, but there's reprints out the wazoo in our near future. We're in the golden age of collecting comics right now, so.
Love it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm getting more into omnibuses lately. I think it's definitely the best value, and it's just so complete and easy to collect.
Yeah.
But with trades, I really love the buy and sell game. There's always these trades that are $100 that are out of print, and going to used comic places to find these little gems is so fun. I'm gonna go do it later today. Last time I did it, I found like comics that have been on my searching list
Nice.
for a while that are each about $100 on eBay if you find them. And that was the Robin Year One 4-book collection, Thunderbolts by Warren Ellis, the complete collection, the thick book.
Ooh.
And there was Dracula, 3 prints of the Dracula. Anyway, it's just a really fun game. You find them somewhere used for $5 and then you go sell them $80 on eBay. It's awesome. Did that with it was like Flash Volume 13 or something, and the Williamson Rebirth stuff. I found it for $8 at a place in San Diego, and I sold it for $90.
Wow.
It was, and I mean, flipped in a month. I was like, this is cool.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So anyway, what do we got coming out here soon?
So some books that we got coming out that I think everybody's going to be really excited about. So we do have the DC All-In Saga that is getting a collection, that's coming out this month. And if anybody's not reading comics right now, DC's in a new era, very reminiscent to that of Rebirth or New 52, but this is the All-In DC era. And this trade collects the initiation of that new DC era that they're pushing. You're going to see kind of what builds up into the new Justice League title, which is Justice League Unlimited. You're going to see how the Absolute universe, where Absolute Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman all exist, how that came to be. So that's a very, very important release coming out. On the topic of Punisher, we do have Punisher by Rick Remender getting a reprint for his omnibus, which that is huge. That's been out of print for a very long time. Not the most acclaimed Punisher run. It's not Garth Ennis by any means, but it is a fan favorite, and it's a run that kind of does a different flavor, a different taste to Frank Castle. It paints him in a little bit more of a I don't even want to say comedic, but I guess a lighter tone. There's tons of violence still, blood and gore, but there's a different tone to the storytelling there. Um, and then I don't know if you've read this or not, but we do have Dark Knights of Steel is getting a deluxe. That's by Tom Taylor. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal story. It's an Elseworld story. You don't need any preparation. It's essentially DC Universe set in a Game of Thrones setting where all the characters get different origins and different abilities in some cases. So definitely read that. Deluxe
Wait,
edition is beautiful too. So
wait. So a medieval Justice League does not sound cool, but I love Tom Taylor, and he's so good at Elseworlds. And you're telling me this is good?
this is phenomenal. So good.
And their powers, their character that makes sense in this medieval setting.
Yes. So, for example, there is a crazy um, wild card rebuild or revamped in this universe to Superman's origins, which is crazy when you kind of see it take place. It takes place in like the first 3 pages, but I still don't want to spoil that. But yeah, Tom Taylor
Dang.
really took some risks and got to play with these characters. And then Batman specifically has a completely different um, character in this setting. So I think it's phenomenal. And he also does a little medieval twist on some popular stories, having to do with some popular villains, especially from the JLA Grant Morrison era. So you get some playing
Hmm.
around with that too.
Any HyperClan?
No, it's
Okay. That was my favorite arc from, actually, I don't know. I really liked the
I'm
HyperClan,
trying.
though.
It's so hard to even talk about without revealing because I do think the shock and awe is the like the
Okay.
best part of it.
And that's Tom Taylor. That's what he
Yeah.
does so well. That's why Injustice is fun to read. That's why Deceased is so fun to read.
Yes.
Deceased is a top 5 all time for me. I mean,
Same
after
here.
War of the Undead Gods finished, that is incredible comic book storytelling.
Yeah. And emotional, and again, like people give him some flack for what he does to characters or whatever it may be, but when it's an Elseworld title and he really takes some risks with those characters, I mean, that's what I want from an Elseworld title personally. So I really loved what he did with Deceased, and he does it again in this Dark Knights of Steel. So just phenomenal, phenomenal story.
Okay. I'm 100% sold.
And then,
Wait, when is that coming out? And is it paperback or just
no, it's a deluxe edition. I don't know if
paperback's
you
already out?
collect deluxes.
I don't care. I'm fine with hardcover if
Yeah.
I usually don't pay 150 for some like oversized hardcover, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, the what's nice is this was released in standard size hardcovers and trade paperbacks in 2 volumes, but this will collect everything. So it can
okay.
save some shelf space too, which is nice.
And the hardcovers are nice and durable. They look clean on the shelf.
Yeah, and the last couple deluxe editions DC has put out, which was Far Sector and Flash by Grant Morrison and Mark Miller, they really put some effort into the design of these books and the build quality. So they take their deluxe editions serious, which is nice.
It's like Something is Killing the Children. I just picked up volume 1 and 2 of those hardcover deluxes, and I'm in love.
Yeah. Yeah, Boom's up there too. Boom has some great quality they did have some growing pains when it came to the binding, but they've gotten past that, thankfully.
Yeah.
But and then we also have Secret War by Brian Michael Bendis. That's getting a omnibus. It's being upgraded from an OHC to now an omnibus. Um, I did make a TikTok on this. This is not
Saw it.
Secret Wars by Jim
All right.
Shooter. It's not Secret Wars by Jonathan Hickman. It's Secret War
The
by
third one.
by Bendis. And I think nobody really knows anything about this. I don't really know very many people that have read it. But it is good. It's phenomenal. And if you have it in single issues, it has some of the best covers by Gabriel Dell'Otto too, which if you can hunt those down, I recommend that. And then my last two, I do have Justice League by Scott Snyder, which is getting an omnibus, but they had 3 deluxe editions originally. I don't think you have to upgrade. It's going to be the same content if you have that. Very slept on Justice League run. It's probably my first or second favorite Justice League run, and that's saying something because there's been some pretty solid stuff out there. It's very reminiscent to Joe Kelly's JLA run, which took place post Grant Morrison. You get to
And
see Scott Snyder really just play with these characters and just make it super comic booky and action packed. Just
I
so
think
good.
I
And
think
then
there's a little Joe Kelly, but it also has a little bit of the Hickman Avengers Incursion era feel to it. And I do like it a lot. It's not as high quality as that Hickman stuff, in my opinion, but it's very much that feel, this like galactic conflict.
yes, and I think it really emphasizes the importance of the Justice League characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, how they're the, center of the DC universe and the most important characters, and that's why they're on the Justice League. So, and it also does what Grant Morrison did, which is allow some time for other characters to shine, which is always nice. You don't want to read, the 12th Justice League book that's just about Superman and Batman every single time. Um, and then last but not least, which is probably the biggest release this month, is Transformers by Image/Skybound. That's getting a beautiful deluxe edition with 2 different covers, a Autobot and a Decepticon cover. And this is obviously, I don't know if you've read this yet, but this is top tier comic books and a must read for anybody.
I've never read a Transformers comic.
It's so good, man.
I don't know if there's so much I still want to read. Marvel, DC. I don't see myself picking up a Transformers book. And indie. I'm really getting into that indie. Something is Killing the Children. I have a list of indie books I want to ask if you've read, and I want you to recommend at least one of these.
Yeah, I recently got into indie too, so I think I'm gonna help you out a little bit, being newer into indies myself. So
okay,
yeah, that's everything. Everything mentionable, at least.
All right, yeah. So let's get into what we've been reading then, and what have you been reading as far as these indies go?
Let me pull up my Goodreads, because I've been taking that very seriously, and I keep promoting it as much as I can because now
Really?
I'm like full on addicted. I just cannot help myself now.
Just the way it monitors your reading and stuff like that.
Monitor it, and then I can just really brain dump a full review as long as I want it to be. And I've done that with a couple titles, and just, I don't know. It's I love reviewing books. I love the subjectivity behind reviewing comics and stuff, and that's what this entire app's about. So I just went through my entire collection, rated everything I did read, and then now I'm just going through my entire collection again, pretty much. So,
and it tracks everything you rate and review, so you have a full-on tracking of your ratings and reviews of comics.
Yes.
Which is like what I try to do in my notes, and that's almost a way easier, organized way to do it.
Yes.
Oh, I might have to do that.
The only drawback is it's 1 out of 5 stars, and you can't give anything 0 stars. So it kind of stinks, but that's where the comment section's nice, because if you give something a 1 star and it sucked, you could just say in the comments this isn't even a 1 star.
Yeah, my issue with that is I don't even continue reading after 1 to 3 issues. If it sucks, I don't even finish. I'm over it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to review shitty comics because I'm not going to finish them.
People put DNF all the time, did not finish, and I was like, I need to keep that in mind too, because that's a version of a review. If you can't finish it, then so be it. But as far as what I've been reading, so I did completely finish finally. Now that's all out. Nightwing by Tom Taylor, which is completely collected in trades and hardcovers, which is that 6 or 7 volumes?
Yeah, 6 or 7 just came out.
Yeah, I think it's 7 with the Fear State one, but I could be wrong. But finished that, got that under my belt. That
ties into Fear State.
Good. What was that?
It ties into Fear State, huh? Like one of those later volumes?
It's technically the 2nd volume.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think you can skip over it if I'm being
I think half of the second volume is really good, but yeah, like maybe it was the Fear State crossover stuff that was just whatever.
yeah.
But there's
And
half of it that was the regular story that was good, I think.
yeah, the back half actually I felt it kind of fell off. I've specifically what volume was that? I think it was the volume 5. I think it was volume 5, but wherever there's that like pirate portion, I
I'm not
don't
a
know what
fan.
was going on there.
I don't like pirate stuff. It took me out of a Deadpool run in Daniel Ways. It's
Yeah.
like, why? I don't want to see the pirate. It kind of worked with Deadpool though, because he just does these jokes about pirates. I don't know.
Yeah. I said
Digress.
the same thing to my wife. I was like, I just don't like pirate stuff. Like pirate TV shows, video games.
I love first Pirates of the Caribbean. I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah. I guess I do
That's-
like that movie though. Now that I think about it.
yeah. Well, oh, hold on. Let me tell you what I've been reading before I ask you about these indies, because great stuff. What was it? First of all, Garth Ennis's Hellblazer. I'm actually really enjoying. It's just slower, less magical than I thought, but it's still just well written, intriguing. Zdarsky's The Knight, the Batman The Knight. It's like a new one. It is about him before he ever puts on the cowl, training. It's
I don't
really
think I've read
good.
that.
Dr. Hugo Strange is like his therapist when he's younger, but then Batman does some really intelligent stuff by the end of it where like Hugo thinks he's manipulating Bruce, but Bruce is, he's in control of things. He knows what's going on. That's a good one.
Okay. I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about now.
What was the one I really, really liked? Oh, Blade, Mother of Evil. Blade Volume 1, Mother of Evil was awesome. Have you read that one?
No, I'm not a huge Blade guy.
He doesn't have, it's the only comic I've ever read of his, and it's recent. It's like building up to Blood Hunt, and I thought it was really fun. Badass. Savage.
Yeah, they kind of I've heard they push the limit as far as like violence and blood and stuff in that title.
Yeah, there's a lot of decapitations and blood, and it's just like a simple classic superhero story, and it's so relieving. It was so easy to read and delightful.
Yeah. Yeah. I might have to check that out. I do have to read more Blade because I did like Blade or Blood Hunt, but I felt like there was a Blade side of that event that I was completely missing coming
Right.
out of Moon Knight's Jed McKay or
Yeah.
Jed McKay by Moon Knight. So there's some Blade stuff that it went right over my head.
Yeah. It's really good. And then volume two's coming. I'll read that. What else? City of Demons, Hellblazer. That was a good one by Cy Spencer.
That's a Black Label book.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel too, so it's just its own little story.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so
You're on a Hellblazer kick then, huh?
yes, I am. I am. Yeah, well, I've gotten so many comments on TikTok. Top 5 John Constantine, top 5 John Constantine, and I'm reading a bunch of them, and so many of them are very slow, and I wasn't impressed. I expected much better, so it just took me a long time, and I committed though. Read a lot of it and found 5 that I really liked.
Where do you think that Constantine curiosity is coming from? Because usually it stems from like movies
question.
and stuff.
I think it's just a little corner of the market that hasn't been cornered. I don't know. People are so curious about John Constantine comics, and there's just a lack of coverage on specific Constantine comics, probably.
Interesting.
Everyone's got their Batman and Spiderman comics, this and that, but not a lot of Constantine content.
That's true. Yeah.
But he's also kind of a icon outside of comic books already somehow. Like people who don't read comics kind of know John Constantine in a weird culty way. It just, he is popular.
Yeah, that's just like people that love like Elseworld style stories. I feel like Constantine is in every single Elseworld story. Like
Yeah.
he shows up in some form or fashion to, fight some demon or whatever. Like even Dark Knights of Steel, like I was just talking about it. He appears in that,
Yeah.
and it's like it's very weird that he has such a fan base but doesn't have like a massive, I guess, run or content.
It's
about
weird. He
Elseworld.
has massive runs, but not like a no coverage on it.
Yeah.
No one talks about Constantine comics, but there's so many of them, and a lot of them are pretty good and I mean, praised. But
Yeah.
no one talks about them like they do Batman and everyone else. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's strange.
Yeah. And then other than that, Something is Killing the Children, which is just a blast. It's like Stranger Things plus savage comic book action,
Yeah.
So I've been really loving that. And have you read that?
Yeah. Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
So is Deluxe Edition Volume 2, is that is that it, or does it continue?
It does continue after that. If you noticed on the contents of the deluxe edition, there's issues missing. So there's a prequel that tells Erica Slaughter's like storyline. That's going to be collected in a separate edition. But you also have House of Slaughter, which is a spin-off title, which I think that's going to be getting a deluxe edition at some point also. So there's a lot of Something is Killing the Children content out there.
Okay. What else have you been reading lately? Before I ask you these indies.
The one that I really want to recommend is it's called Dawnrunner. Have you heard of that? So it is an indie title, and it's written by Rom V, and it has art by Evan Cagle. And this book, I put a review on my Goodreads for anybody that wants to check it out. But it is so much fun. I think it is Rom V writing a literal love letter to kaiju, robot, anime, genre type of movies or shows. And the standout is honestly Evan Cagle on art. I don't know how I haven't heard of his name before, but dude is so good at action scenes and panels and panel work, and just phenomenal story. It blew me out of the water. I gave it like 5 stars, wrote this massive review, and I just think people are misinterpreting it because of the inspiration it has from things like Pacific Rim, but it is phenomenal. Definitely read that.
Okay. Rom V, he also did Swamp Thing.
He did Swamp Thing. He did Many Deaths of Layla Starr. I think he may still be on Detective Comics.
Didn't Tom Taylor take up Detective Comics?
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's done with his Gotham Nocturne storyline. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is also good if you haven't read that.
Okay. Black Science by Rick Remender. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Good?
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. How's the art?
Art's good. I think the drawback that I had when reading it, which I don't know where you align with this, I'm not like a crazy science fiction guy. And jumping of time and stuff, like time traveling. So if you're not a huge fan of that, there might be some negatives to that. But it performed well for me as a reader.
Okay. Gideon Falls, Jeff Lemire?
Yeah. Jeff Lemire and Andreas Sorrentino. Oh, yeah. I mispronounced that.
Oh, that's a great duo. They did Old Man Logan.
Yep. And they did Primordial.
They also did a little Green Arrow together, 52, New 52.
Yeah.
Recommended?
I do recommend it. I recommend it during Halloween, though. You got to be in the mind. Want that creepy, crawly feeling on the back of your neck to read it.
Okay. I imagine the next one's similar. Nice House on the Lake, Tinian.
I actually don't think you have to read that during Halloween, but that is also very good. That plays more like a mind-bending, genre-bending mystery more than anything. So it's not as horror feeling, at least for me, as like the cover and stuff kind of depicts it as. But it's very, very good. It takes it's kind of like a Jonathan Hickman book in some ways. Like you gotta wrap your head around it, maybe take a couple breaks after lots of exposition and kind of digest what you just read.
Okay, interesting. Back to Rick Remender. 7 to Eternity.
Phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Kill or Be Killed by Rick Remender. Oh no, Ed Brubaker.
Ed Brubaker. Yeah. That's one title I can't speak on. I have not read Kill or Be Killed, and that for a lot of people is sacrilegious. So
Is it supposed to be amazing?
it's but supposed to be their magnum opus. Between that and Criminal, a lot of people say is their best title.
Kill or Be Killed sounds like a crazy fun premise. You have to kill someone that deserves it every day or you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. So like finding someone who deserves it and killing them and the stress behind having to do that, that sounds like a hell of a story.
Yeah, I really want to check it out, but I want it in that deluxe edition that's been out of print for ages now.
Yeah, there's a fat compendium.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that's your indies. All right, man. I'm really curious. Let's get into the Daredevil comics. So, gosh, starting with Frank Miller, which was pretty solid. For me, a little outdated, though. I don't like rereading it. And then going into, then like there's a iffy era in between that and Bendis. And then Bendis picks it up. And from then until now, it's been nothing but gold. Like,
Yeah.
with a couple small misses, but Bendis goes into Brubaker, which goes into Wade, which goes into Soul, which goes into Zdarsky. What the hell, dude? And they're all good. They're all really good.
Yeah.
So which ones are your favorites?
So my all-time favorite, which it pains me to say because I feel like it's like maybe some recency bias, but I think Zdarsky would probably take the title. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but I think he's like, it's either him or Bendis for me, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I think Bendis and Brubaker, like I think they told a story and it was groundbreaking, but when I think of something that just keeps my attention because, the action is nonstop and the story elements and the story beats, just keep you intrigued, like Zdarsky, I don't know, like
So good.
the
And the
paying
art.
of homage too to just all of Daredevil, to have a story where he's in prison again, to have a story where it's him versus Punisher again, to, bring it full circle but in a less toxic way with him and Elektra. I mean, everything. And then the Beast too of the Hand, to bring that full circle, paying homage to Shadowland. It was almost like a full-scale payoff to all of the runs that took place before it, which is crazy.
Yeah, and even adding new stuff like seeing Kingpin get bullied by the political elite was so interesting. And then, full spoiler alert, by the way, but in that one I'm thinking about, he also kills one of those elite in the bathroom of their mansion. And the drama behind all that is so crazy. And then the Chichetto art is by far the best out of any of them, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Some of them, they all have their highlights. Like Bendis, the middle of Bendis is when Daredevil takes over Kingpin's criminal empire and beats the crap out of Bullseye. I mean, that was just so badass. But then Soul, like he really nails the lawyer side of things, mixing the action somewhere in between Bendis and Wade. Like it kind of feels comic-y and fun, but it's still dark. The lawyer stuff is absolutely nailed. Fisk ends up becoming mayor. Muse was a great villain. So like they all have their own flavor. Wade's, I didn't even think I'd like it because the optimistic Daredevil approach doesn't really seem like it fits. But then Omnibus 1, found it for like $50. I was like, I'll do it. It was delightful. It was so fun.
Yeah.
The Mole Man arc sucked, I think was the only one. But the like from the beginning, amazing. And then the end, the last arc with Icarus or Akira or some kind of new villain was savage. So that was really fun.
Oh, that was on the tip of my tongue.
It's not Icarus.
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm not gonna be able to pull it.
Akara, maybe. I don't know.
That sounds
yeah.
closer.
It was badass. It was cool. So like it was optimistic. It felt more comic-y and fun, but it was still really cool.
Yeah. And I also think which Wade's run and I guess Soul's run can get a pat on the back for too is they have like some aspects that kind of feel, I don't know, sitcom-y in some ways. Like it has like the drama, slice of life kind of aspects applied to it, which you kind of touched on with Soul's run, having to do with the courtroom drama and everything like that. And then Wade's run, it dives deep into this, supporting cast and a new setting and, what that means for Daredevil. So I think it encapsulated the Matt Murdock side of Daredevil just a little bit more than some other runs, which I thought was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and I felt like it weaved the story in and out of pretty much all the supporting characters really well.
Yeah.
There wasn't much boring stuff going on. Everything was interesting. Everything they were talking about was interesting. So yeah, I thought he did a great job. But Wade is he's really good at writing. So
yeah,
shouldn't be too surprised. And
yeah,
you think
I do
the
have
omnibus...
a hot take for you though, which you kind of brushed over it, was the Ann Nocenti run, which takes place after Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, and that's kind of an era of Daredevil that's whatever.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't fans of it, but it did recently get an omnibus, so I had the chance to like revisit some of those issues, and I think it's a different tone being applied to Daredevil, very similar to that of like what Mark Waid did. I think she dives way more deeper into the like superhero aspect of and the supernatural aspect of Daredevil, but it's pretty good. I think a lot of people, poo-poo on it and say it's horrible just because what it's following, Frank
It's
Miller's
overshadowed.
run. Yeah, it's overshadowed, and then to lead into the Bendis and Brubaker stuff, it's like standing between two giants. It's impossible to shine at that point.
Right. Brubaker's whole run I thought was good but not great, but the first arc is one of my favorite arcs ever, the Devil in Cell Block D.
Mm.
Oh man, it's so good. Coming right off of Bendis's too, a perfect follow-up, and just nails it with that first arc. And the rest of it's solid, the rest of it's good, but that first arc is incredible.
Yeah. And I think that they really captured the grittiness that a lot of, I think probably Frank Miller was trying to do, but a lot of runs beforehand were trying to do. And then when Bendis and Brubaker came in, they just added this this layer of dirt to Daredevil that like it's almost like a car crash. It's everything going on is just
Disaster.
so ugly and gritty, but you can't look away. You just got to keep reading.
Yeah, his life is in shambles throughout these comics. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think Omnibus Volume 2 of Mark Waid's run is as good, or do you think... Yeah, I look at the Goodreads ratings, and it does take a dip, but still high.
Yeah, I think it takes a dip in quality, but I think that's most cases with most runs.
Right.
That high octane initiation to really any title, it's hard to follow that up typically.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, those are the best Daredevil comics. Let's get into Born Again a little bit because shoot, I had a question. Oh yeah, because speaking of Brubaker's run, the life and death of Foggy Nelson, you saw that Easter egg, right? The address on the door.
Yep.
Do you think that is just an Easter egg, or do you think Foggy Nelson is coming back? Spoiler alert, by the way, for Daredevil Born Again.
I have some, I don't know, not so savory words to like so many people predicting Born Again, because I jumped on a live stream when Daredevil first aired, and I said Foggy is not dead. I said the story is not following Born Again. It has way more to do with Charles Soule's run and Chip Zdarsky's run. Yeah. And now that we're deep into the season, everybody is saying that same thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I got so much just garbage and bad comments from people saying, no, that doesn't work, this, that, and the other. And now I feel like it's the common common theory, but yes, I do think Foggy Nelson's coming back 100%.
I didn't catch flack, man. Ever since Mayor Fisk was announced in Echo, I was like, oh, I mean, we're obviously following Soul and Zdarsky at
Yeah.
least a little bit, or at least a lot, to be honest. Like at least a lot. So yeah, I didn't catch flack though. Luckily,
Yeah, I got flack, and then the when I was asking why, because they're like, it's Born Again, it's following Frank Miller, and I'm like, well, they already kind of did Frank
did
Miller's
that.
storyline, and they're like, well, did you watch the intro? The intro shows Daredevil breaking down and then coming back to a solid statue. That's paying homage to his run, and I'm like, okay,
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
yeah,
Of course, some influences, of course, from Born Again are still going to be in there a little bit. It's not just getting. It's not going to be titled Born Again, and it's just going to be absent of all influence from that comic.
right, yeah. But I would say it has the least amount of inspiration from the
Those
Born
three
Again storyline.
from Zdarsky
Definitely
and
Soul
Soul.
and Zdarsky.
Yeah, like 85% those two runs.
Yeah, 100%.
95 maybe. Anyway, yeah. So are you liking Born Again though?
I am. I think there was, which I can't remember what episode it. Oh, the bank episode. Um, I liked it. I thought it was interesting, but I did find myself at the end asking why did that episode take place. I was kind of confused by it. It really didn't have tons to do with Kingpin or the story that's being told. But I don't know. That was the only one where I was kind of scratching my head a little bit. But everything else I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I really actually liked that bank one. It felt comic-y. It felt like a single issue, which is common. And after I just read Wade, it felt like kind of a Wade issue. I really liked Matt's character in there, and I thought it also felt like MCU, like classic MCU with the cameo. Seeing someone from a different property come in there. I never saw Miss Marvel, but I thought her dad was a delight. Like I really liked the character, and I thought it was fun. I knew it was her dad, even though I didn't see it. So I was into it. Not only did it feel like classic MCU and just like kind of a good single comic issue, but it also felt like classic, just superhero movies like Spider-Man. Bank scene, same thing. Aunt asks for a loan, villain attacks, Spider-Man saves the day. That's what this episode was. So it just felt classic to me and comic-y. So I was cool that it didn't push the story forward much. A little bit though with the gangsters there, whoever was running the show. Just a little bit, but I liked it.
Yeah, and that ending, whew, when he
Remind me.
when he snapped his leg in the
Oh
alleyway.
yeah, crazy.
That was tough. Yeah.
Right. I can't wait to see where it goes. How did you think they handled Muse before we get on to Doomsday?
I think it, which I think this is the common consensus, but I feel like his character's lacking a little bit. I think as far as like substance and stuff, I think they should have either did Muse or did just Kingpin. I feel like Muse kind of feels like a side quest, and I feel like the character, especially being an original Daredevil character, kind of deserved his own arc, his own storyline. And I think the aspect of what Muse is and, painting with blood and him just being a modern day serial killer, I think could have been used in a much mysterious and heavy handed way to tell a full on story. And it right now just feels like back matter to the Kingpin and Daredevil story that we all want to keep watching.
So I totally agree with you for the character itself. That's my gripe with him as a whole in the comics. Like he's a great character.
Yeah.
A lot to explore there. You could do so much great storytelling with that concept of painting with blood. And in the comics, couldn't Daredevil not see it's like he used a substance that Daredevil couldn't even see, so he was painting. It's like one of the only things Daredevil couldn't sense or something like that.
I'm pretty sure the only way he was able to sense was just like the blood. I think where they differentiated is in the comics. I think Daredevil discovers that there's blood in it.
Okay.
In the show, it's the waste management guy. That's what I think I remember, but yeah, I don't know. There should have been more to him.
I agree in the comics, but I don't fault the show because in the comics, again, got killed super quick.
Yeah.
He was done. And by the time Soul's run ended, he also died. So the show's just doing what the comics did. No backstory, no nothing. He's here, he's cool, he's fun, he's exciting. Now he's dead.
Yeah.
So I don't fault the show, but I fault the creators of Marvel in general. Explore this character more. He's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I feel like the exploration they did with White Tiger, like I feel like we should have at least got something to that level. Like even if it's not a full season or, full multiple episode storyline, like at least give us just more, just oomph to that character and why he's the way he is and
Yeah.
why he can do what he can do and everything like that.
More to connect to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that wraps up Daredevil and comics. Let's just wrap up the episode as a whole with your thoughts on Doomsday. So we've covered Doomsday a lot. We did a whole theory episode there covering the casting and theories and comic book connections. We pretty much came to the consensus that, we talked about a lot. I'm not going to try this. What are your theories? What are your thoughts on this casting stuff?
Well, I think they're obviously, which we know, leading into Secret Wars and everything like that. But I do think it's going to be more of a battle world style of movie where we're going to have different zones and different areas that are going to be either ruled or filled with different characters from other teams or other universes, and it's just going to be a merge of all these characters and all these teams and movies. And the one reservation that I have behind that theory is I don't know how they're going to do it, because I feel like they haven't really showed the best way of reconnecting all of these MCU movies again, like what we used to do in the golden age of the MCU. Obviously we have references of characters and, for example, Captain America, Brave New World, we have references of re-putting together the Avengers and everything like that, but I feel like if they're going to do a battle world style of movie where all of these characters come to play, things should have been a little bit more connected to lead into that. But I mean, I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see what the total outcome is, because they could do a Star Wars style of story where we jump right into it at the end, battle world's already been established, and then we get to find out how we got to that point, which could be interesting and could be a different way of storytelling, reminiscent to like, some big-brained writer like Jonathan Hickman. But I don't know. I mean, that's where my brain's at now. I definitely think, which I want to see if you agree, do you think that is the entirety of the cast?
They actually came on after and said that there is more cast coming. So it's not the whole cast. I'm with you. Things are scrambled right now. We don't have any cohesive direction. But I think that's one of the biggest obstacles for the Russo brothers. Like, they have 2 movies to do it, though, but I think that gives them plenty of time to start something off strong in Doomsday and pretty much establish a story. Plus, we also have Fantastic Four coming, which Doom has to be introduced in the Fantastic Four. If your next Avengers villain isn't introduced in a Fantastic Four movie, that Doctor Doom specifically not introduced in a Fantastic Four movie, you messed up.
Yeah.
You better introduce him. So I'm thinking that we will have much more clarity after Fantastic Four. But I do think that Doomsday, depending on what happens in Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, you never know. Thunderbolts can have something big story-wise, because I think they're hiding something in there. Something big is happening in Thunderbolts. I'm almost positive. There's an asterisk by the damn title, for Christ's sake. Plus, they keep talking about new Avengers saving the world. Sentry is one of the most powerful beings ever, and they're introducing this character. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on there. So maybe Fantastic Four. But anyway, I think for sure Doomsday ends like Infinity War, right?
Yeah.
Doom wins. He becomes Emperor God Doom, and then he has his Secret War. Then Secret Wars is the Battle World movie. I don't think Doomsday is the Battle World movie. I think that's jumping universes, meeting our characters, the X-Men, and I think it'll be much like Hickman's volume of the comics where the Avengers have to face down this other team of heroes that Marvel made just like the Justice League, but barely avoiding franchise infringement. Such a sick volume, too. And Doctor Strange has like his most epic display of power there and wins the day. But that would be Doctor Doom manipulating the X-Men, and it'll be like the last incursion. The first issue of Secret Wars, the last incursion, the Ultimate Universe versus the 616. Just replace these X-Men with that Ultimate Universe and Doctor Doom manipulating everything. That's what I think Doomsday is.
So here's my question to you also. Fantastic Four, is that going to be our 616 team, or is that a variant team from the multiverse?
I think they are from the six. Wait, so there's two. I think one is more likely to happen, and there's one that I think makes great sense, and I would like it more. I'll start with that one, less real. I don't think this will happen, but I think it would make perfect sense to have their universe destroyed by an incursion at the very end, but Reed obviously built his life raft or his his life raft to escape his universe's incursion. Doctor Doom, being so competitive with Reed Richards, was tracking his engineering, his creation of this bridge or whatever life raft. So he escapes the incursion too. They end up in the 616 with the information on incursions, and the main villain came to the 616 also, following them. They escaped an incursion, now they're in the 616. Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom. That's what I think makes the most sense. But I think it sounds like they were from the 616. This is coming from online shit theories. That might be true. They already came from the 616, but their space exploration bounced them into a separate universe. So they're actually in a foreign universe already. Start of the movie, they're in a foreign universe. And by the end of the movie, they're going to try to make it back home to their universe. And maybe Doctor Doom follows. But that leads me to, like, Tony Stark, right? Obviously, Doctor Doom's not from the 616. Obviously, he's from a different universe. Yeah. It would just make you could be identical to Robert Downey Jr. in another universe and not be Iron Man. That's fine. What was I getting at, though? I guess I just need Doctor Doom to come to that movie, which I already said, so it's just redundant at this point.
Do you think it's going to be Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing a variation of Tony Stark under the mask?
No.
He's going to be Victor Von Doom.
They said it's Victor Von Doom, yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that weird? Oh, and they also said that the death of Tony Stark in Endgame plays into the character Doctor Doom. So that makes that kind of... Yeah, they said that like this week. The Russo brothers said that. Which makes me think they have a plan. Which makes me think it's not just a Hail Mary, let's bring RDJ back. It seems like they had something in their mind. Okay, we could do this and then bring RDJ back. I don't know. I
mean, maybe I'm too trusting of the Russo brothers, but I would never think they don't have a plan.
Me too, I think.
They are big brain directors. We saw that with Infinity War, Endgame. I mean, these are not your schlubs of the movie world. You know, they think things out. So, I mean, man, that makes the theorist side of your brain go wild hearing all that. Good Lord.
Right. So I really cannot wait for Fantastic Four. So many questions. All right, so how about this, though? Do you think that Doom's universe will have a Tony Stark?
Good Lord. I would assume so, right? I mean, we've seen the multiverse in great detail at this point from, like, Deadpool Wolverine, for example. And it seems like there's variations everywhere. And they're of every character. They all exist in some form or fashion. Like maybe Iron Man isn't Tony Stark. Tony Stark died, so it's somebody else, but he had to have existed at some point, though.
What if, remember, like, even DC's done this, people do this to Professor X, Red Skull did it, Professor X, Victor stole, like, Tony's body and brain, and no, that's not going to happen. You know,
You
Red
never
Skull did
know.
that to
You never
Professor
know.
X. And then someone tried to do that to Lex Luthor or something. Okay, do you think we will see the Beyonder or like the Beyonders? Or do you think that they're not going to do the Beyonders? And like maybe Wanda is the power source of Doom's reality warping stuff. Or because Molecule Man or the Beyonders, I don't see coming into this, but they were so huge in the comics. So I think Wanda's powers or Loki's powers or Kang's powers is going to replace one of their, like, because in the comics he basically defeated the Beyonders, stole their power. That's how he became Emperor Gondu, whatever. And with Wanda has those kind of powers, I feel like he could do that. Plus, there was the Children's Crusade comics where that was his goal, to steal Wanda's powers. So there's two comic connections there that could work out, or that could be Loki. He can go kill Loki. I kind of thought that the climactic battle at the end of Doomsday will be our heroes in between Loki and Doctor Doom and his armies, and they have to defend Loki the way they did that button in Age of Ultron.
Huh. No, I think, I don't know. Part of me thinks Loki's long gone. I don't think, like, I think if we see him, he's going to play a very minor role.
He was cast.
Yeah, but he's going to be a minor role.
He's the god of time. He's holding all the strings. And that is perfect for what Doom would want. Like, he's going to want that. Loki will be one of the most important roles. Maybe not a lot of screen time. I'll give you that. But he's got to be one of the most important roles.
What about American Chavez, though, too?
Yes, agreed. Yes. I think she's going to play a huge role.
Huh. I mean, in theory, because I don't think Wanda didn't travel time just by herself in Multiverse of Madness. That was all from America Chavez and Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even know if Wanda would necessarily be needed, but I guess in a way she would in order to warp reality.
That's a good argument. No one's argued back, and that's a good argument. She wasn't... Anyway, I'm listening.
Yeah. But now that you point the theory of Loki, I mean, I think Loki would have to be the one where the powers are stolen from. I mean, I guess that would be the most important building block. Yeah.
I just had another thought. So you know how Doctor Strange and Tony Stark in Infinity War were kind of beefing the whole time?
Yeah.
What a perfect contrast. Sheriff Strange in the comics serving Robert Downey Jr.'s character. A perfect contrast. The beefing, Doctor Strange is like not going to listen to Tony and like he's not going to submit to his will. Like ever. He's going to do his Doctor Strange shit.
Yeah.
Opposite flip. He serves RDJ now. I think that contrast on screen is something they're going to aim for because that was in the comics too.
Yeah, that would be interesting. My question to that would be, so if we're diving deep into the source material, obviously Black Panther and Namor played, or not Namor, or was it Namor?
Yeah, the feud?
Yeah, with the...
Absolutely, dude. One of my favorite parts of that comic.
Yeah, so they... Black Panther needs to play a pretty big role if we're going to keep it close to that source material, which obviously we have a Black Panther.
Yeah, and they're like already at war. It's perfect setup. They're continuing their feud into this incursion. That's literally the same thing from the comics. Stuff before incursions is when the war started. He floods Wakanda. Check that off the MCU box. He already flooded Wakanda. Now we got incursions, and their feud is going to keep going. That's going to be just like the comics, yeah. They don't have to pull every aspect from the source material, but I think, yes, Black Panther and Namor, and yes to whatever the hell we were talking about before.
Yeah. No, I think the two building blocks that need to be the most present is obviously Reed. I think he needs to be playing a very, very big role, similar to Secret Wars. I would hate to see Black Panther and Namor's entire storyline be gone. That would be a misstep, in my opinion. And then obviously Emperor God Doom leading up to that point. Those are all of the aspects that I think are a must. Everything else they can kind of use creative liberty, but those three, you can't pull away from that too much.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If the Fantastic Four's universe doesn't end by an incursion, or maybe even galactic, he doesn't eat universes. Maybe Doctor Doom destroys their universe. Maybe his plight starts there with his universal. God, I really wish he was the main villain in that movie, dude. To get a ton of backstory and like his goals and motivations. Because in that Fantastic Four movie, if he finds out about Kang and the universe and incursions, and like somehow he just, trims some fat off the cow by destroying his own universe, and then that's how they all escape. I mean, whatever. I don't know, but I think it's a missed opportunity not to have Doctor Doom as the main villain of that. Like, really set him up to, because we're abruptly going into Avengers and we've never seen this dude on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was one of my drawbacks for Captain America: Brave New World. Was just the mention of Avengers, right? Like, that came out of left field a little bit. Like, we haven't heard anything about him, anything about that cast, anything about anything involving the Avengers for such a long time. Then all of a sudden, like, Thunderbolt Ross is bringing this up to, Sam Wilson, and, who's been in the MCU, Captain America, for what, like a year? It's like, man, like, I don't know. It came out left field.
It is weird, but it's exciting. I like that it's starting to feel more like the MCU again.
Yeah.
The last 4 years, I wasn't even excited to see almost any movie they dropped except for Guardians, Spider-Man. I don't know. It sounds like they have a plan, finally. Well, and that makes sense. Feige's back, Iger's back, like the hierarchy is back. So of course the good MCU is coming back.
What did you think of Brave New World while we're kind of touching on that?
So I actually liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not top tier, but I actually had a great time. I thought the whole movie was fun. I liked the leader as the villain. I liked that it fed into that Hulk movie. I liked that it felt like a Hulk sequel. That felt like the MCU. That was awesome. I like Hulk characters. They're fun. Hulk was raging out again. That was fun. That climactic fight was badass. I really wish we didn't know Red Hulk was in this movie. I really wish that was a surprise. That would have been one of the dopest surprises ever, period. So exciting. The rating of the whole movie might have gone up. But they needed to get the butts in the seats, so they had to show those, the Red Hulk in the trailer. But how exciting would that have been? This conspiracy, we're like, what could this possibly be about? Turning the president into Hulk, that would have been so cool as a surprise.
Yeah, I think I did a live stream where we reviewed it, and that was my one single, like, massive critique was we all knew Red Hulk was coming. And I think it would have been so fun for the fans of the comics to want to go see the movie because they know Red Hulk's coming. They're the only ones that know Red Hulk is coming. And then people that don't know anything about Red Hulk to be surprised by that, like, oh my gosh. But I agree with you, like, the MCU hype that train has slowed for a while now, and I think it's popular to not like MCU movies at this point, and quality has dipped a little bit, so it is what it is, but they had to get people in, and the only way was Red Hulk. That was the only way they could.
Mm-hmm. Nothing stays on top forever. It was natural for the MCU to take a dip in quality for a few years. It's just natural. I think that's almost safer. It almost secures that they're going to be good soon because, again, they're not going to be bad forever. So they had to take a dip. It's just natural. Now they're coming back up, and we're going to have a secured good few years of MCU.
I agree, and I'm also on the wagon of I don't think every movie needs to be perfect. Like, I think there's so many opinions out there sometimes that, like, they hate on it just to hate on it, and it's, sometimes the arguments don't even have any substance, and it's like, this movie can just be fun sometimes. Like, it doesn't have to be the critically acclaimed and world-stopping movie that was, Endgame or Infinity War. Like, sometimes we can just have some fun with these characters and enjoy them on the big screen, and that's more than enough.
Yeah, and that's just like Captain America 4. Just fun, throw him against the Hulk, get some conspiracy, another villain, push this Avengers idea forward. Just have some fun with it, man. Yeah, I did like it.
I gave it a 7. What did you give it?
8.
Okay.
Yeah, like a solid 7.9, I think, actually. We got a question in the comments here. Romez God has a good question. Do you think Roma's Guide from TikTok, by the way. He's a good dude. Follow him. He's part of the TikTok crew. Do you think anchor beings, or do you think the anchor being is tied to Iron Man's death? Or did I read that right? Oh yeah, the anchor somehow is an anchor being tied to Iron Man's death, like him dying. Maybe if he was an anchor being for the 616 and that caused some kind of rift through reality, is something like that I could see.
Ooh. Yeah, I had to scour my brain even with the anchor being there, but now that I'm remembering.
Dude, what if, because like another thing that I didn't point out yet, that is, I think Doctor Doom will, just like RDJ, will absolutely be trying to save the world, save the universe. He'll have the same passion and fire that Iron Man did, like creating Ultron, except Doctor Doom is trying to save the multiverses. His Ultron will be some kind of dark black magic. He's going to dabble in magic to save the universe, and he's going to go a little too far, like Ultron, but Tony going a little farther with that. So, except dark magic, And so that made me think, if he's saving the universe, what if he needed to be the body of Tony Stark and come back to the 616 so they have their anchor being again? Now he's the anchor being. Now the universe is kind of fixed temporarily. And then he starts on this like quest. The only thing that separates him from Thanos is his ego. Like Thanos, if Thanos was Doctor Doom, he would have snapped the fingers, killed half of life, and then put himself on a throne.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom, when he snaps his fingers, he's going to put himself on a throne, right? So when he saves the multiverse, it's also going to be like, oh, but I could also own the multiverse. But anyway, that's a weird thought. Like, bring the anchor being back to 616. Is that why he's identical to Tony Stark?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to play a role for it to be mentioned. And knowing the Russo brothers and the way they just kind of pick up those little nuggets of detail that you forgot about in like whatever movie, they have to, pull that and use that. And I really, really do think, especially now that you just said Tony Stark's death in Endgame plays a role. I mean, how else would it? If it obviously Tony Stark being an anchor being, and then if Victor has that mindset or that knowledge of how anchor beings work, I don't know. I mean, they could swing it in a couple ways, especially like you said with the magic and technology merge that is Doctor Doom. So yeah, because then we also have all the what if stuff too. Like, I wonder if any of that is going to play into the
good point
bigger picture of the multiverse, because then we're diving into even more crazy multiverse territory.
I hope not. I hope they keep that away.
Keep it away from it?
I hope they keep it away. We have too many characters, too many things. I didn't like What If. Just a couple really good episodes is about it.
Yeah.
Keep it away. I didn't want to see Captain Britain on live screen.
Yeah, for the 100th time. They saturated her pretty hard for a while there.
Dude. Yeah, and it's not a great character. What the hell?
Man, there is a lot in the works right now. And then we had Spider-Man's title. What was that, Friday announced?
Right, brand new day.
Which, that kind of has to do with, but we already saw that. I mean, essentially, one more day play out in its own form or fashion, MCU version.
But this is perfect. It's a new status quo. That's what Brand New Day was. Brought him back to the basics.
Yeah.
Spider-Man versus a villain, that classic movie is what I want to see with Tom Holland. We've gotten weird. They're good, but weird, different Spider-Man movies. I want to see a classic, classic Tom Holland Spider-Man versus a villain movie, and that's what One More Day was. Hit or miss, right? Did you like any of the One More Day stuff?
I really liked Brand New Day. I thought Brand New Day was phenomenal. It has one of my favorite issues, which is, again, written by Mark Waid. It's a two-parter. I think it's like...
I hope.
Unexpected Stop or something or other, but it's him versus Shocker, and he's defending the contents of this train, which are all these civilians, and the railroads crumbling above him and filling with water. It's like Daybreak with Stallone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. But
well, I just ordered One More Day, but I could only find like the first 10 issues or something. I bought a hardcover and a softcover because they're like flying off eBay, and I'm just gonna try to resell one and keep one.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It doesn't collect all of it though, so I hope that issue's in there.
Yeah, one of my friends on YouTube, he did an overview on the Brand New Day omnibus, and it was at 500 views. The title came out, it jumped to 5K. Like people
That's
are
sick.
so interested now.
Damn it, we should all be making these. When I get the book, I'll make some kind of video. Still be too late. I'll be alone a month later. It's Brand New Day, guys.
That's
yeah. Yeah. Well, all right, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. Very much a pleasure as always.
Yeah, no problem.
Again, Fellow Nerd on TikTok and Illuminerdy on YouTube. Some of the best comic book content out there. Go check them out. And thanks for checking us out as well. We got stuff coming out. The regular Week in Geeks, Daredevil coverage. So check it out. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time on Why So City is a Nerd podcast.